Man, I love that intro. I always move when I hear it. Like I always move when I hear it.
I
Uh,
gotta watch Godzilla versus Destroy again. Every time I see that burning Godzilla, it makes me want to watch it.
right, it do. Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's my favorite Godzilla movie too, so I had to put
yeah,
it on there at least.
yeah, one of the most iconic Godzilla forms we have ever seen, we've ever
Yep.
witnessed. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are the Sci-Fi Nerds. We usually don't do this on Sundays, but dang it, we are here. And we're here to bring you guys another
The
awesome.
horror.
What? 2 podcasts in 1 week?
Oh
What
man,
is this?
We bring y'all another movie review, and tonight we are reviewing The Thing, another awesome movie, another great sci-fi horror film, another classic to me that's been in the genre for a long, long time. So those who haven't seen this film, preferably we can encourage you guys to go and check out this film and watch this film. But it was really awesome. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm Donald.
I'm Remy.
Hooray!
DJ.
DJ. And we are the Sci-Fi Nerds. Doris, Nick, Serge, we miss you. We'll definitely be holding it down for you guys tonight since you couldn't be here. But first and foremost, before I even get into the first question of this film, we just did Predator, Thursday, right? The Predator. Yep. And then we came back and we're doing The Thing tonight. So as I was watching The Thing, like they don't make movies like that anymore. Like they just don't. I mean, you just don't. And I was like, man, it almost made me kind of sad, but I was happy at the same time because I still get to go back and check out some of the older content. But they definitely do not make movies like this anymore. The suspense back then was great. Plot was great. I mean, it wasn't nothing too far-fetched or too crazy, but they definitely don't make movies like they used to anymore. And I don't do you guys agree with that? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, there's a lot of classic movies that are great. Comedy, sci-fi, horror, all genres.
Yeah.
Like 90s really topped it off. Early 2000s, we still got some really good movies that are definitely going to be classics.
Yeah.
But man, like 2010, it just like
yeah.
I mean, there's still some good movies and stuff, but everybody's so sensitive about everything these days. You can't joke about things, and which is exactly what George Carlin talked about. He's like, it's language. Whoever's controlling the language controls your thoughts, and unfortunately, people keep pushing to control language, and it's affecting everything.
Right, yeah. Especially comedians. I mean, they used to go on stage and they would, talk about anything, say anything. You could tell it was just jokes, and then just a transition in time as time just continued to go on. It's kind of like, it's comedians that's still really talented, but it sucks because they have to alter their art, right? They have to alter their art around certain things, and so kudos to them because you have to be really, really talented. And I always said that was one of the hardest jobs in the world is to be a comedian. You have to get on stage and make people laugh. So that's one of the hardest things to do. What about you, Remy? How you feel about that? Do you feel like, there's still some good movies out there, guys. I'm not saying that all movies are bad. There's movies.
I think we're mostly just talking about the fact that this is like one of the most prominent movies that uses practical effects. And most movies today are using like green screen and like CGI, which, to be fair, not all CGI is bad. We're trying to say that not all CGI is bad. Some CGI
right, yeah.
Incredible, like Godzilla vs. Kong, for example. That CGI looked really, really good.
Yeah.
So we're just coming up with the argument saying like, as the years went by, we started like using practical effects less and less, and now like we barely even like use them. There's like there's some movies today that still use practical effects. Like I was telling you earlier, Donald, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that used actually a lot of practical effects. The animatronics in that are actual animatronics. They're not CGI. They're actually stuff that was built and put on stage by the Jim Henson Company. So there's still examples of people still using puppets today. And to me, puppets, I feel like, or animatronics, practical effects are, in my opinion, they'll like outmatch CGI like any day of the week. It's like,
well, it's like you can even look at the Marvel movies. The original Iron Man movie had a lot of like practical stuff and just used CGI to fill in what they couldn't actually do with reality. But you look at like the last ones and it's barely any practical. It's literally they're in like a big room that's just all green screen everywhere.
Oh,
yeah.
You know,
and I guess what I was aiming at was more so because, like I said, I really do love the horror genre. But when I was watching The Thing and The Predator, I'm like, wow, and like it felt a lot more tenser. You know, the moment, the dramatic moments, you know, the action, the thriller moments, and so. But like I said, there's still some pretty good movies out there, man. So
yeah.
But this one definitely it definitely brought me back because I'm like, man, like just the feel of this movie, like you don't know what's gonna happen, you can't guess what's gonna happen, like and the ending to this movie is one of the best endings I've ever seen in the movie. It is for sure the ending sequence. But all right, DJ, we'll go ahead and start with you, man. You picked an awesome movie, The Thing. Those who are watching, we thank you for watching. We thank you for the support, and we appreciate uh, everything that you do for us when you do view and when you do watch. And thank you guys for subscribing. But the first question, DJ, I want to get with you. Can you describe the setting and the tone for this film?
The setting is very isolated. That announces that it's taking place in Antarctica. So, you know, it's not exactly next door to your local supply stores or anything like that. You know, we're introduced to a group of people that have obviously been there for a long time. They've got their personality quirks and, you know, things that they like about each other, things that annoy each other. And, you know, they don't really explain what it is that they're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you know, typically whenever there's anything in Antarctica, it's for research purposes, but yeah, they never really explain why they're there. And it really doesn't matter. You know, it's not, you don't need to know why they're there for the movie to play out.
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's another one, you know, kind of along the lines of Predator, where, you know, there's, you know, kind of the face value of what's going on.
Yeah.
But then there's something else, and, you know, big, wide open frost, you know, snowfield, but yet it's all contained in this one little camp, and they're trapped. They can't, you know, they can't just run away. So
I will say, I like the comparison, DJ, between the Predator and The Thing. It definitely gave me something to think about. It's definitely isolation. You could say for both films, actually.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, being stuck out in Antarctica in the snow, I don't think I want to be isolated there. Like that's really bad.
And winter's approaching.
Yeah, and with a storm coming in like 6 hours, so you know that's fun.
I mean, I just I agree with you, DJ. Definitely isolation. But yeah, I mean, you described the tone perfectly, and I also thought that the tone, it wasn't dark, but I mean, it was like I said, isolating, but it was tense. I'll say that the tone was tense. Like you didn't even know why they had to be there. You just knew something was going to happen. The whole team out here isolated in Antarctica, and like I said, I'd rather be in the jungle than Antarctica. I'm sorry. Like I mean, both options are not good. You just don't know what's in the jungle. But I'll take my chances in the jungle. But I agree with you, DJ. Definitely isolation. What about you, Remy? Could you describe in your opinion, could you describe the setting and the tone for The Thing?
Oh yeah, no, I think DJ hit it off the off the bat perfectly with the whole isolationism, because it's true. It like watching the movie, I was like, despite the fact that you're in like this vast area of Antarctica, it just focuses on that little part of it. Like we barely really like leave the station that they're at. We only leave the station like once or twice, and then that's it. We only follow them to those two parts where they discover the ship and when they discover what happens to the Norwegians, but then that's it. And then we just stick to that little facility that they're at. And it really like gives you the sense is like, no, they're trapped. Especially like when Blair like destroys all their comms and everything like that. You're like, oh no, they're trapped. Like they're actually trapped. Like they're not gonna be able to get out of that.
Yeah, Blair.
Like I really appreciated that.
Yeah, Blair was wilder, man.
Well, what do you expect? It's Wilfred Brimley.
And they were already having problems with communication before he even did that, too.
That's true. The guy was just like, man, I'm not going to be able to talk to anybody and do not see where we're at. I'm going to be able to contact anybody.
Like, I don't know, man. And that's one of the things that I did enjoy about this movie. Was you got everybody basically looking at everybody funny. You don't know who to trust. But you have something that can literally just take your DNA and just take over you and actually act like them. And so, I mean, that it was a really, really cool plot. That's what I really enjoyed the most about this film. DJ, I'm coming back to you. What was the turning point for you in this film?
I think it's when Kurt Russell gets separated and he comes back and he's got the pack of dynamite sticks.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, anybody touches me, I'm blowing us all to kingdom come.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, because at that point we've already had a couple deaths. We've seen the creature in action and, you know, everybody's already on edge and stuff. And so they automatically assume that he's churned. And, so yeah, to me, I think that was like the turning point where like they finally figure out, okay, here's the plan. We're going to process through this. We're going to narrow things down. We're going to figure it out. And, you know, their goal is obviously to survive still at that point. But yeah, like shortly after that, where everything hits the fan, it goes.
What about you, Remy? What was the turning point for you in this film?
Then the turning point for me was when I think it was when they were like giving that guy, I think CPR or attempting to give him CPR, and the guy grabs the I forget what it's called. He grabs the machine, and he's like,
the defibrillator.
Yeah, the defibrillator. He grabs it, and he's like, clear. And when he puts his arms in, the stomach opens up into that mouth, and it just chomps down above his arms. That to me has always been like the like WTF moment of the movie. I'm just like, what? What? And then they got the head coming off. You got the thing coming out of the stomach, and it's like crawling around. And I love the guy's reaction. He's like, "You got to be effing kidding me!" You have that like crab thing, like trying to run away.
Yep.
Kurt Russell just like ignites it. He's like, "No, we're not doing with that." But that to me is like probably some of the best like practical effects I think in the movie. Like just that entire sequence alone was just like, wow, this is great. That and well, yeah, no, this is probably like the best I think looking scene in terms of like practicality of the effects, because like it's just so like surprising and so well done, because like the movie has been like kind of like tension building, like it's been building the tension throughout the movie, and to me when that happens it's just like, all right, no more, we're gonna hit the fan, we're gonna show you everything now. So that to me is like when, okay, we're gonna start seeing more of the creature and like what the hell it's capable of and what it can do to its hosts when it's trying to escape. So that was like a really memorable scene.
Both really, really good answers. I would say the turning point for me, I can't remember if it's, I know for sure it was Mac. I can't remember if it was Mac or Blair or the doc who discovered the guy frozen in the chair. But they found the blood leading up to it, and he was just stuck, like frozen. And then when they took the cover off the two-headed thing, oh gosh, I mean, I loved it. I was like, oh man, I haven't seen it in a while. I was like, oh man, like just even back then, that was like really, really good work that was done in this movie, because I felt like at this time they're like, first of all, how do you process this? What the heck is going on? Now we're about to get into what this movie is really, really about, and not to mention they're still isolated in Antarctica. You guys already said a storm was approaching, a storm was coming. So, I mean, it's bad news. You're seeing dead bodies, you're seeing blood, you're isolated. So nothing's about that is good. But I think those were the two turning points for me in this film. Like I said, overall the film was like really, really, really good. Let's see. All right, DJ, I'm coming back to you. In your opinion, what was the most intense or gruesome scene you can recall from The Thing?
So it's going to be two separate things. So intense is going back again to when Kurt Russell's character McCready, or Mac Reddy, first comes back. He's like half frozen because like they were trying to keep him outside and everything. And he's standing off against everybody else. And it was just really tense because you're not sure if like somebody's going to transform and attack him, if he's going to just have to like shoot. You got the one guy trying to sneak up behind him with the surgical knife and everything, and and then you got emotions running really high on both sides. And another good performance from Keith David. The two of them were kind of facing off at that point. So it was definitely really tense because you just don't know what's going to happen. Like, everybody's freaking out. And so it's like anything can happen at that point. As far as, gruesome, there's a lot of candidates. But one of the ones that just really stands out is right towards the end, when they're setting up all the dynamite underground and everything.
Oh yeah.
And Wilford Brimley's character,
Blair,
walks up to the commander, puts his hand on his face, and you just see his fingers just like melding in with his skin.
Oh yeah,
and it just like moving around like.
I hate it.
And it's just right on his mouth. It's like, oh. So, and then of course, shortly thereafter, the huge, big creature pops out from underground. It's like, just all sorts of tentacles and mouths and everything, and then a dog comes out of its stomach area, and it's just like, what the freaking heck is this thing, man?
And Kurt Russell goes like, "Yeah, fuck you too," and like throws it, and then he like jumps out. Yeah. I always love that line. That line is probably like one of my favorites because like I just love I'll never get old. I don't think I'll ever get over it when like characters just like fully cuss out a creature or something like that. They're like, you know what? I'm tired of this thing. Forget it. I'm not scared of it anymore. I'm just tired of it. I just want to get rid of it. So he's just like, you know what? Yeah, goodbye.
There was a lot of intense and gruesome scenes in this movie. Like I said, when Blair started freaking out, he started tripping, and these are like they was already having trouble communication problems anyway. He didn't make it no better. He made it worse.
And starts shooting again.
And so he was freaking out because at this point he didn't know who to trust. So you got this thing that can pretty much just turn into you, and not only that, it's definitely going to kill you, but it can turn into you. And so you got a team that you've known and you've trusted all your life to get to this point where you're isolated, and now everybody's getting blamed for things like when the blood went missing, when they asked him about the key. He was like, "Yeah, I gave it to him." Like, but every time I'm done, I give it right back, and they all just looked at him. And one of the parts that was funny is when the officer was like, "Look, I just, think somebody else should take over." He sat the key down, and the child tried to grab it, and they was like, Nah.
Grab somebody a little more well-tempered or something like that.
Yeah. And when Mac had the dynamite, he was like, "Look, if we got to do this thing, we all just."
So that fuse was like that long.
Yeah,
like, if he let it, that was it.
Yeah, they wouldn't have time to stop it. It would have just been like, "Yep, goodbye."
Yeah, so he was basically just like, "Look, man, if I have to, look, it's gonna be me. It's gonna be all of y'all, and we can do this thing." And then I think the third thing, probably one of the most gruesome things I've seen, is when they put I figured out his name was Pow, the dog, when they put him in the
kennel.
The kennel. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I didn't even recall that scene. And at first I thought all the dogs were freaking out, but I thought all of them was about to attack him. And then all of a sudden, like, one of the dogs just opened his whole face. I was like, "Oh gosh!" And then all these little
tentacles
started coming out, and he was shooting the dog. Man, and then they came in with the flamethrower. The whole team came in at that point, but that was one of the most intense scenes that really, really got me out of my seat and out of my chair, because, like I said before, watching this movie, I was like, man, I wish it was, a lot of movies out there like that still can pull this off and make you, feel really, really tense and curious to see what's going to happen next. And so that's what this movie did for me. But that was one of the most gruesome things I've seen in this movie. And even after that scene when you see Blair, like they kind of get the monster open and you see where he's trying to digest the other dog.
Yeah.
And Remy.
I kept wincing during those scenes. I was like, especially like during that, because he was just like cutting it open. I'm I'm like, oh my god.
All right, Remy, you up next. In your opinion, what was the most intense or gruesome scene that you can recall from watching the thing?
Intense was probably when they were doing the blood test. And he did that blood, and the blood went like it sprung up, and he's like, "Shit!" And then you just start seeing the guy in the chair going like shaking, and the other guys next to him are like, "Oh my god, here we go!" And he's just like, he jumps up in front. It's such a chaotic scene where he just like goes up to the ceiling and then he comes down. And first of all, I forget his name. I think it's Windows. He's an idiot. I don't know why the hell he didn't flamethrow it when it was up on the ceiling or when it came right in front of him.
Yeah.
Like this. Like, kill it. It's right there. And the thing just like opened up its mouth. And then like it bites him and you just see him in the background like knobbing on him. I'm like, oh my god. And then like it goes, it just like walks out of the building. And then McCready like does that dynamite and he throws it and it blows up like right like that. It's just like, I gotta make sure it's dead. And then probably the most gruesome scene is probably the dog scene, because honestly, I hate seeing animals get hurt in movies. So seeing dogs get hurt, that hurt my heart. But at the same time, I was just like, I feel bad for normal dogs. The thing dog, kill that thing. Burn it. Burn it now, please. I hate that thing.
I had a delay with the flamethrower.
Yeah, I was like, God, this God, for God's sakes, burn it. Like, I hate, like, it was so gruesome. Like, it was like mid-transformation or something like that. You could see, like, that eye or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Forming up into the ceiling, and then, like, that weird mouth thing coming out, and Child's like shot the flamethrower. I was
I'm guessing never being in that situation, and I pray to God that I'm never in that situation. Some people probably just go in shock, like he didn't know.
No, burn it, kill it.
He didn't know what was happening.
Shock can only last for so long until eventually you have to like take action.
Oh man, I was like, dude, shoot, you got the flamethrower, like
exactly. Especially with Windows, he was right there. You had it available. It wasn't buffering for you. You just weren't using it. And then he died. I was just like, well, he wasn't really doing anything. He wasn't really trying to fight back. So I was like, idiot. I'm like, do something.
We see a group of characters. My man Keith David, I was glad to see him in it. But we see a lot of variety of characters in this film. So DJ, I want to ask you, outside of Mac, who was your favorite character in this film and why? And if I need to run the cast names by you, I can pull them up and I can run it by you. Let's see.
I'm going to have to go with Keith David's character. You know, he just his, you know, he trying to put out why. You know, he wasn't afraid to get his, you know, to do what needed to be done. But he was he just, you know, he's kind of tired of everybody's BS too. You know, and you know, he just like I said, like him and Mac, when Mac first came back and stuff, like I thought they were going to throw down with each other.
Yeah, me too. I thought they were going to throw some hands.
So, because like everybody else, just kind of like, you know, they projected that they wanted to stand up, or you know, or just wanted to flee. You know, and so like Mac and I can't remember what his character, but Keith David's, I can't remember what his character name was, but Childs. So, but those two were, you know, like I said, just both ready to go, do what needs to be done. You know, let's get this thing figured out, and let's get out of this alive.
I agree with you, DJ. I was gonna say Childs as well, because I feel like you, in a situation like that, you need somebody like that who's willing to step up, who's not gonna tolerate any type of BS. And I think he just immediately went into survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, you're in Antarctica. You know, he a brother in Antarctica too. Ain't too many of us. he out there in Antarctica, but he doesn't know who. I mean, he don't know who to trust. And like you said, you know, to your point, I was like, man, they about to throw some hands. It was a couple tense scenes between them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's gonna go down, and it never did. But I do think he was a great addition to the team. He definitely didn't hurt him, but I think he was somebody who was willing to step up and step in. And like I said, in a situation like that, you need somebody who's going to be tough. You need somebody who's not going to take any BS, and you need somebody who's willing to stand up to whoever, you know, no matter what. And I think that's exactly what Keith David did in this film. So I got to agree with you, DJ. What about you, Remy? Outside of Mac, who was your favorite character in this film and why?
I would also say Childs, because
okay,
it's Keith David, and two, he was probably like the most, like, I think, like besides McCready, like I thought he was like the most intelligent, or like most self-aware character in the movie, where he's just like, yeah, no, none of us can be trusted, so like we need to take this seriously. And like he was like, I just like the way he was kind of like sort of like a character who could like take action when it needed to be done. So I sort of like that aspect in the character, especially in these types of movies. But I also did kind of like Blair, too, actually, because during the scene when Blair was destroying all of their communications, I was kind of like, no, I kind of get it. Actually, I kind of get why he's doing that because earlier he did that computer scam where it's like, if this thing goes in the population, it's only going to take like something hours in order to like take over the entire planet. So he's like, okay, cool. So we're not going to get out of here. We're not going to call for any help because if we do, the planet is probably in jeopardy. So he kind of like took that on himself for like the greater good almost. I mean, granted, it did kind of go insane with the gun. I was like, okay, you don't really need that. You could have just told them why you were destroying everything. I feel like they could have understood why you were doing it. I don't really get that about Blair. I'm just like, Blair, tell them what you saw on the computer, and then maybe they'll understand why the hell you were breaking everything. But he never did that. I was kind of like, maybe that's why they think you're crazy, because you just started breaking shit. Maybe if you told them why you started breaking stuff, then maybe they would be a little more understanding. But he didn't do it.
Yeah, so. He had a boy in the corner leaking.
Yeah, I was kind of.
Hey, he was in the corner knocked down. He took Mac down. He felt like, come on, Mac. You gonna let this old man do you like that, bro?
Well, they had to jump him eventually.
So, he probably had a lot of adrenaline running. And at the time, he like, look, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Mac took out the axe. He ran in with the table to get the axe out of his hands. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Which allowed the other guys to jump him from behind and pummel him a little bit. Did you hear that?
He said,
I love that one. Like both McCready and the other guy like jump on top of him. And see McCready go.
He started shooting at that guy because Blair did. That part was funny. He said,
You're like, Childs is just like, hey, Blair, come on, man. You don't want to hurt anybody. Get back.
Yeah. The thing that still baffles me, though, about him is when did he get turned?
I know.
I think people were saying, I was reading comments about this. People were saying that he got turned, I think, because somewhere earlier, I think, or when they go to Blair's like place that they put him in, there was like a noose. There was like a noose there, and so people were saying that he tried to kill himself, and when he did kill himself, and when he did, the thing must have snuck in and took his dead body and assimilated into him.
Yeah, but like, who, like, how, where did, what part, what body part or what person walked over there to make that contact?
Plot.
Yeah.
Plot. I don't know. Plot. I don't know.
Because I know Max spoke to him to the door, but he wasn't turned.
Yeah. Well, though that scene probably could have been turned because he was really eager to like go back inside.
Yeah, he was. He was eager.
I was kind of like, that's a little bit off-putting. At first, I didn't really think of anything of it, but after thinking about it, I was like, no, the way he was acting was kind of strange. He was just like, hey, let me back in, guys.
He's like, I'm good. I'm fine. Like, you can let me back in. So I don't know what.
Yeah, so like that kind of seemed to me like he was already taking over.
Yeah.
Yep. So
again, I don't know when he would have been taken.
I have to go back and watch now because I'm curious to know, like, what point did he turn? Like, who would have made that contact with him in order for him to turn?
Because we know it was Mac, but who were the other two guys that went out there with him to first drop him off in that room?
I think it was the doctor, maybe. I don't know the first two people that went out there with him.
Wasn't it a guy arguing? He was saying he didn't want to go with
Yeah, it was like Windows. It was Windows, I think, and somebody else. The guy that was in the chair that flew up into the ceiling. I don't know his name. I think Paul's or something like that.
Oh, Knowles?
Knowles? Yeah, I think Knowles.
On the rollerblades at the beginning?
Yeah, him. I think that was Knowles and Windows that were kind of arguing at first. And I think Knowles went with them. So maybe if Knowles has already taken over, then maybe he might have done something to Blair that we didn't see. But I don't know. Or we're just giving the movie, or we're just giving John Carpenter way too much credit, and he didn't have a explanation for it. It was like, Blair got taken over, but like when? I don't know. Movie magic. Okay, thanks, John.
that was just kind of one of the big questions. Is just
out for you. Like, of course.
When did that happen? Like,
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of questions in the movie. That's like one of the bigger ones. It's like, okay, is when did Blair get taken over though? John, do you have an answer for that? No? Okay, cool. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch it. DJ, what was your favorite form that you saw the thing turn into, or the most gruesome form you've seen it turn into in this movie?
Oh. Man, there's definitely some crazy stuff. I think one of the funniest ones was that blood test scene, because when the creature opens up to start chomping on windows, he's like literally got him up in the air and he's just flapping around. Yeah. And I was expecting to see him go down inside of it.
Right.
And but he's sitting there screaming and everything, and then eventually he just spits him back out, and
he's just all bloodied. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got the guys in the foreground going like, "Oh my god, get me out of the chair!" And they're just freaking out. Oh, that guy in the background's getting like munched on.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't do that.
I was expecting the thing to bite off his head just entirely and just throw the body to the side, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, like DJ said, him, you expect him to get completely swallowed, and that didn't happen. So it's kind of just it's kind of just happening.
Well, it was probably
it's definitely longer than it should have been.
Yeah, well, the thing probably didn't I remember the thing needed to fully absorb him. It probably just needed to
but
piece of it inside of him or something like that.
But it's just the way that he was flailing.
Oh, yeah, no. The way it looked, you thought you were going to fully see him get munched on.
Yeah, it looked like he was just being sucked in.
Yeah, but no, he was just playing around. Which honestly, that effect kind of looks funny nowadays. I'm like, now it just looks like a puppet.
I would say probably one of the grossest or whatever gruesome was again that one when they were trying to revive the other guy with the defibrillator, because everything happens at that point.
Yeah,
they shock the guy first, and then they go for a second one. That's when the mouth opens up in the chest cavity and just rips the guy's arms off, and then it just pops out every which way, and then as they're lighting it on fire, it's literally tearing the head off to turn into the crab thing to start trying to run away and go hide somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just you got limbs and head, just everything coming off every which way you can think of. It's
yeah.
So
I'm with you on that, DJ. Like I said, it's a few of them. When Windows is flapping around, like we said, that's one of the funniest ones when Windows is flapping around, because I thought that what originally was going to happen was things was just going to completely swallow him. But then, Remy, you made a good point. It was well, maybe he didn't need to, kill him like that. Maybe he just needed to absorb his DNA.
Yeah.
Of course, I got to go back to the dog scene. That was really, really, gruesome. That was bad, man. And then you go back and you look at how they opened him up after everything occurred and happened.
They gotta do a dog like that.
Yeah, that was bad. I felt bad because I just knew it. I was like, man, that dog gonna be out of there. And not just that dog. I think one dog took off and ran, didn't it? They got up out the gate.
Two of them ran out of there.
So, but yeah, I'll go back to that scene with the dog, and then even the scene with the defibrillator. That was crazy, man. Just watching his chest expand like this, that was terrible. Because he's about to say clear, and then out of nowhere, just got his arm snatched completely off. That was really, really bad.
So I was doing a quick search on the question about Blair,
Okay.
and apparently in some forums or whatever, some people were with the impression that when he was handling the dead dog thing, that was where he got like infected, and so when he's running the computer simulation, that's the last time that he's actually human. And the theory is that he was already turned when they find him smashing up the computers because he didn't want the team to let the world know about what the thing was doing.
Okay, so going back, okay, I'm glad you brought that up, DJ, because going back to when he was smashing things at that point, I was like, maybe he is turned, but I couldn't really tell. And after it was done, I was like, nah, he's not turned. So now that I think about it, that could be when he did turn, when he was tending to the dog. So that's a good research, DJ. I appreciate it.
I was about to say that actually back when we were talking about him. I was like, I don't know, maybe when he was touching one of the dead bodies, something came off of it or got into him.
That's a really, 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 really good point. Remy, what about you? What was your favorite form that you saw from the thing that he was basically able to morph into or turn into?
Probably like the last thing we saw. Probably like that big creature that we saw McCready blow up. Because like I don't know, that to me it was like probably like the most interesting I think of the designs. Or like probably like the most intimidating I think, because it's just like this huge, massive, whatever the hell it is, and it's just like this guy had this big mouth. One thing I really liked about it though is that if you look closely at the back of its head, it kind of has Blair's like white hair. So that was kind of funny. It was like it still kind of had Blair's like haircut in the back of it, which is like an odd detail to me. But like I don't know, I just like the way that it kind of looked. It was like this huge hulking beast, and then they had like the dog thing kind of come out.
Yeah.
And it was running around and it was like like that. So like that to me is like probably like the most interesting design, just because it felt to me that was probably like the closest I think we got to what maybe the thing's true form was. Maybe
that's a good point, Remy. I like that.
Because we never really get the thing's true form. I just think that last one we saw was probably like the closest we got to seeing what it actually like looked like.
Well, you have to remember that it is a parasitic creature.
Yeah.
And so it takes on the form of whatever it infects, similar to the xenomorphs when whatever the face hugger implants them in.
Yeah.
It takes on the characteristics. So like in Alien 3, it gets embedded into a dog. So the one that bursts out of the dog is a dog form. And then like, in the Alien versus Predator, you get the one that's embedded in the Predator. So then it's a Predalien. So
that's some good info, DJ.
Yeah,
that's some good info. We're down to our last few questions. DJ, what fatality in this film was the most gruesome to you?
Most gruesome fatality?
What is the thing? A part of the freaking Mortal Kombat universe? Is that going to be the next playable character? The Thing?
Oh man, be adding everybody.
Yeah, it's going to look like McCready, and then it's just going to be able to like system into different weapons. That would be kind of cool.
We don't see it. We only see the aftermath of it. But that dead body that they found at the Norwegian one, the guy's head was it was like cut halfway off.
Yeah. Well, I think he did. I think he did that to himself, though.
Well, true. But, I mean, like, yeah, he slit his own wrists and everything from the looks of it. But, like, how do you manage to cut that far in?
I have no idea. No force, I guess.
I mean, that was pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
That was there a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was refreshed my memory a little bit. What about you, Remy? What was the most gruesome fatality that you've seen in this film?
Honestly, I think I might have to give it to when Blair put his fingers in the guy's put his fingers like in the guy's cheeks, because that to me is just like, yeah, I mean, like there's a bunch of gruesome deaths in this, but that to me is like just the way like it kind of like holds back on like the actual gore of it, and it's just that creepy image of just his fingers going in his face. I'm just like, oh god, no, I don't know, no, thank you, I don't like that, no, because
let me just put
I don't want to get your fingers off the screen.
And then later on, you see it walking with like,
yeah,
pulling him by his head.
Yeah,
but it's attached.
God, I hate that. It's just like dragging it. I'm like, no, I'm good. That's another. I guess that brought up a fear in me. People putting their fingers inside my cheeks. I don't need that. Thank you very much.
Really?
And you worry about that all the time living in a dorm room.
Thanks. Thanks for that image. Thanks, DJ.
Well, Halloween's a couple days away, so I got to do my part.
No.
Hope you got a flamethrower handy.
Fortunately, I don't. Plus, no weapons allowed on campus, so I want to be able to sneak it in.
Oh, boy.
No, don't worry, this is just part of my Halloween costume.
Boy.
Somebody gets too close to my face. Henry, I think you got something on your cheek right there. Don't come any closer. Don't come any closer. Where'd you get a flamethrower at? Don't worry about it. Get away from me.
Remember when you go to sleep, just
I'm gonna blow us all the kingdom come. Grab a dynamite, have a lighter right next to it.
Don't be like the guy who burned himself with that flare. Oh, he was crispy. I said, man.
Oh my god, that's right. When he tried to blow up the dog, but how close do you have to be for the dynamite to slip out of your hand and go right next to the helicopter? I'm like, you idiot.
Oh, he was he wearing gloves?
He was wearing gloves, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the same time, he could still hold on to it.
Well,
I mean, granted, yeah, if it's covered in snow, I guess I can make it a little more slippery. But still, it was funny because he's like, oh no.
Oh boy.
He started running away instantly. He's like, oh no. It just blew over behind him.
Oh boy.
There's some.
I wish they could be here. Nick and doing the third. We miss y'all.
There was some unintentionally funny scenes in this movie, man.
It was. I did it
that way. It was like I know that's not supposed to make me laugh, but that did make me laugh.
Yeah, I don't take nothing serious anyway, so.
It was nothing serious.
All right, DJ. Describe the ending sequence between Childs and Mac, because around this time, I don't know who the Thing got. I don't know if they. I don't know if the Thing is gonna get them or when they get them, who's gonna get first. So talk to me about the ending sequence between Mac and Childs. What was your initial thoughts after seeing that before the ending of the film?
Honestly, like I thought for sure that Mac was gonna end up, blown up with the creature underground. So when he, surfaces, I was like, okay, that's cool. But at the same time, it's like, okay, he can't go anywhere. He just blew up their facility, so there goes all the food and everything like that. So yeah, he's kind of screwed. Which, I mean, he was prepared to die. He resigned himself to that. He just wanted to make sure that creature was taken out with him. And then when Childs shows up, it's like, and he gives the excuse that he thought he saw Blair and then he got lost in the snow. It's like, that's kind of questionable, but at the same time, it's like, if either one of them was churned, why would they bother trying to, justify their position at all? Why not just chomp on them and then go to sleep?
Yeah. Hit his little drink real quick. He knew the ending was good. And I thought, that's why I said the ending of this movie for me was probably one of the best endings to a movie I've seen. Because at this point, they've already been at each other. And think about they're the last two left. They already been at each other, throughout the film. Whether it was disagreements, whether it was arguments. Because, like I said, me and DJ, you talked about it. We thought it was going to come to blows, and it didn't happen. So to have that conversation, and when Child see him, Child was like, "Oh, I see, you made it instead of we made it. It's two of y'all." But so it was like I said, I wonder who the thing was going to get first and how it was going to happen. So they kind of left a mystery for us. But overall, the ending sequence for me to this film was very, very tense because you got two of these guys who've been going at it who probably really don't care for each other. But in the same sense that they could both be leaders. They both was not, going with BS. They both, stood on what they believed in principles. So I thought the ending sequence was pretty cool, and that was a good way to end the film. What about you, Remy? Could you describe the ending sequence of the thing? What's your initial thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think the ending to this movie is probably one of the most ambiguous endings I think I've seen in a movie because it's really left up to the audience's interpretation about which one of them is the thing, either Childs or McCready. Although I will say, recently, it's actually been said by Carpenter that he had an idea. I'm reading this right now, that he had an idea for a sequel. And he planned on having both Childs and McCready return. And then it even says that the writers and producers agree that neither were the thing. Even the actors themselves were told to act as if they weren't the thing. And then it also leaves up maybe neither of them were the thing. Maybe both of them were just human, and neither of them were the thing, and it actually died in that explosion. But again, that's just a theory. Well, plus two, I think there's a video game of the thing, and I think Childs shows up in it, but McCready is nowhere to be found, which they both froze, it says, before a rescue team showed up, and Childs was thawed back to life. So then again, it leaves it up okay, which is it possible from the video game that McCready was a thing, or from what I said earlier that maybe neither of them were. Maybe they were both human. Or maybe
brother should have never been out there anyway. I don't know what he was doing out there. Why he out there in Antarctica?
When I make movies, Don, I'm just gonna have a black character just go, "So where you guys going?" "Oh, Antarctica." "Nah, later." And then just leave the movie entirely. Just no, goodbye.
Reminds me of Tone Loc and Surf Ninjas. Brothers don't surf. Just see Keith David going, "Brothers don't play in the snow."
Keith David was awesome.
Brothers don't swim.
But we
don't go in the ocean.
Also, he's made an appearance in a few of our movies because he also showed up in what was the movie that Doris?
Pitch Black.
Yeah,
Pitch Black. Yep.
He was in it as well. So, but he's always been a tremendous.
Brothers don't go to space.
I don't know why he was.
There's another really good movie with him that's kind of a sci-fi, almost horror-ish, where he's in it called They Live, and he goes up against Roddy Piper in it.
Really?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it's more of a conspiracy theory or conspiracy type movie.
Yeah.
But it involves aliens again. And it's a really good movie. So
didn't John Carpenter also do that movie?
He's a voice actor in
I think so.
Yeah, I think John Carpenter also did too.
So he's all over. He's definitely all over the place. All right, DJ, final question. That's going to end off the night tonight. Out of 5 stars, how would you rate this film?
I'd give it a 5 out of 5. It's a fun movie, very suspenseful. Even having already, watched it once before, there was a lot of things that I didn't remember from it. Like the whole spaceship thing. I forgot all about the spaceships, both the one that they found buried in the snow and the one that Blair was building underground. I saw those and I'm like, how do I not remember those parts? So, very good movie. I'm glad that we watched it. So,
Yeah, you picked a really good movie. I'll say out of 5 stars, I'll give it a 5. Like I said, very tense, very suspenseful, uh, really gruesome. But the main thing was the plot was good, and I thought all the characters were good. All the characters were great. So I had fun watching this movie. I can actually go back and watch it again. I can go back and watch The Predator again too, Remy. That was really good. So I just thought that this movie had it. Even the soundtrack was good. They played a couple songs in here that I realized and I liked. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty good soundtrack. So I gotta go 5 out of 5. What about you, Remy? Out of 5 stars, how would you rate this film?
I think I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5.
All right.
I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 5 because, like, to me, it's probably like one of John Carpenter's like better movies. I think because the man makes a lot of really good movies.
Yeah,
like this is probably like at the top 5 of the list, and like I really liked it. And plus, I knew a lot of people were saying like, no, it's a really good movie. So watching it myself, I'm just like, yeah, no, I can't argue it. Like, there's really like no argument to be made. I'm like, no, it is a really good movie. I'm not gonna try to go like, no, this movie sucks. I'm like, no, because it doesn't. It's good. It's a really good movie.
It was.
It has good characters. It has a good plot. It has a good setting. It has good practical effects. Practical effects, I think, are probably like the main thing that makes this movie so memorable. It has a good soundtrack. It has good direction.
Yep.
Like, it has all of that. Like, it's a really good like movie that I feel
and
like
the characters are believable because like
exactly.
in a situation like that, not everybody's going to have the ability to step up and like take control, keep a level head, and
because they're just as confused as everybody else. They're just in survival mode at that point because they don't know who to trust.
Yep.
I really like that aspect about it, and like, yeah, no, it's just a really good movie, and I think that it's one of those movies that doesn't deserve a remake. It doesn't need a sequel. It doesn't need a prequel.
Well, the funny thing is it is a remake. Like,
oh, that's right. It is a remake. That is true.
It's one of the few times that a remake is actually an improvement.
Yeah, well, that and the Blob too, right?
Yeah,
the Blob from the Blob in the 80s, and
that's a good movie too. The Blob. I have to go back and check that out.
Yeah, that's probably one of the only movies I know where a kid actually dies in a horror movie, and I respect that movie for it. It's like, the kids get to die too. They're not that safe. I'm like, oh, you killed a kid.
Yeah,
Applause.
It's very rare that you see that. But
but yeah, no, 5 out of 5 for me on this movie.
5 out of 5. All right, well, it sounds good. Those who watch this, those who's going to go back and watch this, we thank you for your support. We thank you for being a part of this stream. We love you guys. We thank you guys, and we really do appreciate you guys. And we did review The Thing, which was a really awesome movie. So those who are watching, it's the 1982. It's called The Thing. You guys go back and watch it. You guys go back and check it out. Really awesome movie. Really awesome pick, DJ. I'm glad we got to get up with you and squeeze your movie in. And so, it was a great night with you guys. And I'm one of the hosts. I am Donald.
I'm Remy.
DJ.
And we are the Sci-Fi Nerdz.